Yesterday, Gen Zs announced that today was going to be the mother of all protests. As I talk, it's past 1 p.m., but there are no signs of any serious protests across the country. What went wrong? Let's listen to Gen Z speaking yesterday before we continue.
Tunasema ya kwamba Mr. tutishwi na aturudi nyuma. Ruto, the best thing you can do ni usema umeresign leo before NANE, kwa sababu kesho tunaanguka nayo.
That was yesterday. Let's have a look at some very interesting and funny posts made by Mutembei TV. Mutembei TV is the only online TV that has been airing the demonstrations live. So we must also congratulate Mutembei for having aired the demonstrations and the protests live. Mutembei TV, today demos is being led by less than 12 people who are running from one place to another. No demos here. If you listen to Gen Z speak on Twitter versus how they show up on the D-Day for demos, unaweza cheka sana. 11 Gen Zs in CBD now. I want us to dig deep into all this for Kenyans to understand why today's NANE has clearly flopped. Because from the look of things, it has failed miserably. Why has it failed? If you are watching us but you have not yet subscribed, subscribe, give the video a like. Let's proceed. Let me start by congratulating the Gen Zs because they are just fighting for good governance. In fact, they are fighting for us. And any person attacking or mocking Gen Zs is somebody who maybe does not know what he or she is doing. Gen Zs are fighting for a better country. How I only wish Kenyans could have seen things through Gen Zs. They are just fighting for a better governance. So, why has today's NANE failed miserably? I know there might be so many reasons, but I've summarized them into this. The first reason, look on how Gen Zs started their protests. The very first protest they did start, there was a young lady captured live on camera telling Raila Odinga, Baba usitokeleze, tutapigania on your behalf. We know and we understand that you've all along fought for us, but this time, usitokeleze, we will fight on your behalf. Most Kenyans never understood what that young lady meant. That young lady was just acknowledging the struggles of Raila Odinga. And listening to that lady, that was a Raila Odinga supporter in the form of a Gen Z. And these are the truths, ladies and gentlemen. I won't be wrong to say that most of the Gen Zs who are on the streets saying Ruto must go across the country, Nyanza, Kisii, Western Coast, Nairobi, and other parts of the country, apart from the Kalenjin Rift Valley, and apart from the mountain, most of them were opposition supporters, and most likely Raila Odinga supporters. So, in summary, most Gen Zs were opposition supporters and Raila Odinga supporters. They were only joined by other Kenyans who are also not happy on how William Ruto was running the government. And some of those were Kenya Kwanza supporters who are not happy on how William Ruto was treating Rigathi Gachagua, and some were not happy that Ruto was not able to keep the promises he made to them in 2022. They joined forces with the opposition supporters and they formed Gen Zs. And Kenyans now across the board also supported them. But a majority of the Gen Zs were opposition supporters, Azimio supporters. That's why, upon Raila Odinga embracing William Ruto, the protests have died. They were opposition supporters, and that's the truth. The second reason why today's protests have also failed miserably, some individuals calling themselves Gen Zs, they started attacking ODM party and Raila Odinga, calling him Saliti. For those who can remember, immediately Raila talked of dialogue. I did state here that Raila Odinga and the Gen Zs were speaking the same language, in that these Gen Zs were just Raila Odinga supporters. So they were just speaking the same language. And I've always also maintained here that a true Gen Z cannot call Raila Odinga Msaliti. Raila has been in this struggle for long. And anytime Raila Odinga joins the government, it leads to the betterment in our Kenyan politics. When he joined KANU, KANU was sent home. When he joined Kibaki in Kibaki's second term, Kibaki became one of the best presidents that Kenya has ever had. When Raila Odinga joined Uhuru, we saw some rogue elements being kicked away. And now that Raila Odinga has joined Ruto, it's almost certain that some rogue elements in this Kenya Kwanza government will be kicked away. The Kenya Kwanza government will split. That split is good for the country. So this has just been a constant struggle. And when I talk about that, I'm not taking sides. I'm just saying the truth as it is. So a genuine Gen Z cannot call Raila Odinga Msaliti. Anybody calling Raila Odinga Msaliti does not understand why Gen Zs were saying Ruto must go. They don't understand that. And now from what has happened today, maybe Kenyans will now see things clearly as to what has been happening. So these ones attacking Raila Odinga, calling Raila Odinga names, they are the ones who have sabotaged today's demonstrations. Raila Odinga supporters and most Gen Zs, they felt no need to take part in those protests if their leader is being insulted. There were no protests in Mombasa. In fact, the whole of Coast Province, there were no protests today. I've not seen protests in the whole of Nyanza. I've not seen protests in Western. I've also not seen serious protests in Nairobi. All these are Raila Odinga strongholds. Kenyans should open their eyes to see things clearly. Yes. As long as some people calling themselves Gen Zs will still attack Raila Odinga, they are killing the spirit of the Gen Zs. That goodwill is clearly fading the more they attack Raila Odinga and call him names. What's the way forward, ladies and gentlemen? Gen Zs should regroup. As they regroup, they must know that their target is Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua. That was their initial target. It's only that later, some goons infiltrated the movement. But true Gen Zs, The genuine Gen Zs should regroup. As they group, they must and should know their target should be Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua. Ruto Rigathi must go. That should be their target and focus. These two individuals have failed miserably in the past 2 years. If Gen Zs do that, then maybe once again we might see Kenyans coming back to the streets. Let me stop it there. If you are watching us but you have not yet subscribed, subscribe, give the video a like. Any person watching us outside Kenya for the first time, drop a comment, let us know from which part of the globe you are watching us from. If possible, subscribe, give the video a like. Let's meet in our next analysis, where we are still observing things to see if there will be serious protests across the country. Thank you. God bless you. God bless Kenya.